Hi everybody, Zach here for another episode of our flagship program, The Spidey Dude Experience. This episode is brought to you by our loyal patrons over at patreon.com/SpideyDudeNetwork. Pledge today and get both early access to content on the main channel, as well as entirely exclusive content, like brand new shows and commentaries for old Spidey stuff, including commentaries for the MTV series, for example, as well as the video editions for Voices from the Area Gargoyles podcast. And our Patreon first show focused on the Krakoan era of X-Men. We also want to encourage you to check out our other programs that are all available on Audio Edition. These are all over on spidey-dude.com, and they're available on your favorite podcasting app. Shows like Clone Saga Chronicles, the show that started this entire network, Spectacular Radio, Spectacular Sal Buscema era podcast, Amazing Spider-Man Classics, the Slot Symposium, and the sister program on this channel, Make Mine Mayday. As always, be sure to hit the like button. It really does help us big time in the algorithm. And additionally, if you have topics you'd like to cover on a live show or in a recorded medium, make sure to leave a comment down below the description or shoot us an email at SpideyDudeRadioNetwork@gmail.com. Finally, make sure to join our community and be alerted to all new updates by hitting that subscribe button and clicking on the bell. But to be clear, your viewership is more than enough for us. And if you want to hang out with us off YouTube, you can always go to our Discord, where we have all sorts of fun stuff, or you can join us on our social medias and follow us there. All the links are down in the description below. As always, we want to be making some references to visual aids and or live comments. If you're an audio listener, pay that no mind, but leave that 5-star review for us. Any and all feedback we will read on future episodes. Thank you, and without further ado, let's get rolling with this episode of the...
Well, we tried. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Neil's Military Junta. We're here to talk about things that aren't Spider-Man, contrary to the mission of the Spidey Dude Radio Network. Hey, guess what? It's me. I'm in the little corner over here. I'm so small. Anyways, I don't know what I just did. Anyways, hey, look, it's Greg, who was here last time.
Hi. Well, didn't I open the door to doing shows about things that aren't Spider-Man related?
Yeah, but I was the one who performed a coup on Zach.
So
And
true.
for the first time on the Mystery Meet Surprise Action Hour, it's Ashley here because I asked nicely.
The meat hour. So excited. Trans man.
The meat hour. Yeah. So, we were supposed to have Josh on tonight as well, but he had a problem with finding a quiet place, starring John Krasinski and Emily Blunt. So he's not here. He might come. I don't know. It might happen. We'll never know. So today, if my name didn't give it away, we're talking about a very special man today. We're talking about Pat the Trans Man Lee.
If I look like death warmed over me because I'm feeling ill right now, it's because Pat Lee literally makes me sick.
Yeah, I was joking before the stream started. He kind of looks like the engineer from Prometheus.
I kind of do.
Prometheus.
I have zero context to whatever is happening, so I'm just gonna roll with this. Will you guys banter, talk about it, and then then I can get involved because I don't know anything.
I have a little bit of context for you, Ashley. You heard of a game? Maybe you've heard. It's a very small, niche, obscure game called Marvel Rivals.
Yep.
Before we get into the Transformers stuff, we do want to talk a little bit about Marvel Rivals. Marvel Rivals has decided, hey, remember all that goodwill we built up over the past 5 months? Let's flush it down the toilet. Let's introduce an entirely new currency where it costs $6 to buy an alternate skin swap of a costume you already have. Yeah, and it's only available on 4 skins that nobody likes. So
which skins are they on?
Winter Soldier's Vampire Hunter outfit, Luna Snow's 2099 outfit. I think the Psylocke comic skin. I can look for it real quick on the Discord.
Psylocke when she was white or Psylocke when she was Asian?
This is Asian Psylocke, but without the white girl in her.
You could not tell that story today, taking a white character and putting her in the body of an Asian woman. You could not do
so
that today.
there is a costume that people would use. It's Psylocke's comic costume, and then Magic's punk child costume. So
Now you got me looking.
So it will cost 600 of a special currency. I don't know what it's called, but you will now pay $6 for an alternate color swap of a costume you may or may not already have.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, people aren't happy about it.
I hate when they do that. They're like, oh, well, we know you like this skin, so let's just roll it out in all the colors and then make you jump through hoops to earn those colors, because Fortnite does the same thing, except the way that they do it is
like
through
bundles, right?
It's through bundles, but also competitions. And then sometimes they will have like color variants within battle passes and all of that stuff that you can unlock. So it could be the same freaking skin, but just, it's basically just a different color. So
yeah,
and you still have to buy the battle pass. So
either way, it's not particularly interesting color swaps. I probably won't do any of those in my lifetime. I don't see myself paying $6 for an alternate color costume that I may or may not have. Yes, Greg.
Which Psylocke skin was it?
Nothing.
The
Sorry,
comic,
just
the comic one, the Uncanny X-Men one.
Oh, okay.
The swimsuit costume. That's the one.
I have no idea what's going on. Did you see the Fantastic Four trailer?
Yes, I did. I don't like how Silver Surfer looks like Quintessa from Transformers 5, to bring it back to the Transformers discussion. But
Agreed. I liked about everything else, though.
Yeah. I wish he was bald.
If I could have made one change to it, though, considering the retro feel, I would have had it colored in Technicolor, like a movie made in the 60s.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Give it a real retro look.
I'm sorry, I yawned. I don't think modern audiences could handle that.
There's a lot of things modern audiences can't handle. Me, I like black and white movies.
Modern audiences can't handle interesting things like whimsy and charm.
Well, if Superman and Fantastic Four both bomb this summer, that might be why.
I'm hoping they don't. They look good.
They do.
When does that come out?
Same with which one?
Both of them.
Superman, I think, comes out July 11th, and then Fantastic Four like 2 weeks later.
Which ones is so Fantastic Four? Is that the one that's coming out during Comic-Con?
I think so.
Because I knew something was coming out during them, but I wasn't sure. I can't remember which one.
I will say,
those movies have a lot in common. They're bright, colorful, full of hope, and
whimsy.
The Zack Snyder cultists want to destroy them.
I do think it's funny that like a lot of these like critics are like, we're not racist, and then proceed to be racist about everybody in the movie except for like Johnny. Then they call him gay for some reason. I don't get it, even though he's dating Doja Cat. Which, like, I wish that were me.
Mm-hmm.
She's hot. I mean, I get it.
Anyways, do we have any toy news, Greg? Did anything interesting happen in the realm of toys?
Not that I've been paying attention to.
Then it wasn't worth bringing up. Anyways.
No, other than tariff stuff. That's it. And
all
the
tariff
stuff that's been coming up from a lot of companies saying that their toy prices were going to be probably increasing, even though they're trying to avoid. So that's the only.
But that's not interesting. That's just like a bunch of financial gobbledygook about here's your cheap, or here's your $25 plastic bauble. It's now $50 because we can't keep it in our pants to not start a trade war.
Yep, that's pretty much it. That's the only thing involving toys that's going on, I feel like, right now.
Okay, so with that aside, because I did it out of obligation because I love Zach, and if we didn't do toys on this show for some whatever reason, I think he would just explode.
Where is he?
I don't know.
Well, he's not tied up and gagged in a trunk this week.
The military junta exiled him to, I don't know, where. Do we know a good Pablo Escobar island we can send him to?
Does Pablo Escobar have a podcast? He could be doing that.
From a prison cell or like a
Pablo
baby?
Escobar is dead, but yeah.
His coffin?
He's doing it from hell. So with that out of the way, and I
Zach
guess
was
maybe
exiled to El Salvador.
Jesus fucking Christ.
How much of this is gonna need cut?
A lot. It's the cold medicine.
It's not
the
being
cold
made into an
medicine.
audio form, so it's just staying on the channel.
It's the cold medicine.
It's okay. Anyways,
Yeah, hopped up on NyQuil.
Zach and Josh are in a equal state of limbo. It's Schrodinger's podcast appearance. If they're here, they're here. They aren't, they aren't. Any or until the show concludes could be possible. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the greatest publishing company of all time, Dreamwave Productions.
Dreamwave Productions was founded by a man named Pat Lee, who was not a very good artist, but impressed a lot of people who don't know what good comic art is over at Hasbro. And he also bought a Porsche and didn't pay people.
That's the TLDR, but Greg kind of has it. So a lot of the information I know about Pat the Trans Man Lee, that is actually a nickname he asked to be called at some point, which is really funny. I'm gonna pull up the picture of the company's logo, I guess. It's the logo, right?
Yes.
So in the same window where I have the search tab, does China have an extradition treaty with the United States? We have this image of Pat Lee and his friends walking away from an explosion. You will stare at it and you will like it. Dreamwave, the new wave of comics.
I for real thought this was like a shitty made album cover. From
you think this was a bit?
Oh,
that image was that image was chillingly prophetic.
I really, really thought this was like someone's like.
You thought this was like a bit?
Yes, I really did. Well, because I saw the thumbnail when you sent it, so it was like, oh, it's like gonna be a funny haha meme. Like for some reason,
it's a real thing.
It's a real thing. It looks like something that people made. Oh my gosh! Like at the dawn of like fucking computers, I feel
this looks like something
like
someone. This looed like something someone made for their Dragon Ball Z AMV in like 2006.
Oh, I could see that too, actually.
Oh, Dragon Ball Evolution.
This is.
Yeah, so
it looks like they're about to have like they're like, yeah, girl, listen to my demo. Like, I got a band.
Okay, you're honestly not that far off because this guy embezzled money to help his girlfriend become Miss Hong Kong 2007, I believe.
That was from Dream Engine, his second company, which he founded after Dreamwave closed shop. You see, he bought up a bunch of licenses, didn't actually end up paying these companies for them, and he had a lot of people doing essentially free labor, writing the comics. He had a lot of ghost artists working for him, promising to pay them later. Somehow this went on for years, and he leased a Porsche in Dreamwave's name, and then before they declared bankruptcy, he transferred that Porsche over to his parents' name, and basically lots of people wrote hundreds of thousands of dollars, and apparently they couldn't sue him for this. And then a lot of the assets were funneled into a new company he started called Dreamwave, where he did a lot of this for his second time. Dream Engine, where he did a lot of this for a second time before fleeing North America. He's in China now without an extradition treaty. That's where he helped his girlfriend.
Yeah, that's why we have this literal tab open. We were researching before the stream started. It's in the title.
I love those.
Does China have an extradition treaty with the United States? No.
That's fantastic. And honestly, I can't blame
I hate
them.
AI overview. I hate AI overviews, but this is pretty succinct. No.
It was a plot point in The Dark Knight. Maybe Batman can go get Pat Lee, but apparently Pat Lee has not been back in North America in many years because there's outstanding lawsuits out for him. And let me read some quotes about Pat Lee.
Yeah, a lot of our research tonight is going to come from the Transformers wiki.
I love this so much right now. I am learning so much that I really wish I had a like cup of tea in front of me because you guys are spilling so much tea that I didn't know that I needed in my life that I definitely
my timeline was admittedly a little bit off. It was closed in 2005. So this was so in terms of the timeline, they do make a point that since like 1996, I think the Transformers license was unused. The only thing they'd had since then was G2, I think, in the 90s, but nothing other than that. And so these guys in 2001, they got the license, and then they proceeded to make. I'm trying to find a picture of Pat Lee's art.
And it was a big deal at the time because it was that's on Figueroa. It was a big deal at the time because G1 hadn't been back, hadn't had any new stories told since the very early 90s. It was Beast Wars and Beast Machines and Robots in Disguise. So the return of G1 characters in those forms was a huge deal.
And this was about the time the Armada cartoon was being animated in Japan and being shipped over to the States for release. So getting the license around that time was a very huge deal. You'll see here that Pat Lee has a very special art style where Optimus Prime gets given syphilis, where he draws a bunch of very blocky shapes and then does like some Jim Lee bullshit to it, and then
I just really like how it says how to draw it. It says draw a circle, draw Optimus Prime.
Give him scraplets, give him leprosy.
Here's a quote from Simon Furman about this artwork. I remember working with Pat Lee and how kind of disappointed I was to find out how little of the art was actually him. He gave me an original art page of Armada and there's so little art on it.
That sounds like a digital artist skill issue. So you'll notice here that this is the cover for, I believe, Transformers #1. You'll notice the proportions are a little bit fucky wucky.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. This is the cover for the book. This is what it would look like if you didn't have any arms. So the short and sweet of it is that I'm trying to figure out how to sequence this properly because there's so much bullshit.
I wouldn't even know what part of a vehicle that would be that they'd be transforming into because it looks like he just had a random rod. I don't know.
Wait, which
it's
part?
Like a weird pirate arm.
And for all you Marvel fans, he drew House of M Iron Man.
And he drew an issue of the crossover where Spider-Man's supporting cast has dull surprise for the entire issue as a facial expression.
Dull surprise, Pat Lee invented that.
Yep. So this might be a bit of information overlap. If you ever watched Linkara's video on the Transformers Dreamwave comics,
I have.
Yeah.
I'm literally just here. Like, I read a book, and I am so proud of that. I do know stuff about Transformers, though, so I can't say anything, like, acting like I really don't know, but all this lore you guys are dropping, all this, like, tea you're dropping, I am literally going to be down so many freaking rabbit holes. It's gonna be insane. Like, just all of them, all at once tonight. Like, that's what I'm gonna do until the wee hours of the morning.
You came here expecting to talk about a silly Transformers comic, and now we're talking about an international criminal.
I love this. I love this. I still don't know what that first up picture was that we saw. Is that? Is that the person?
Yeah, this is Pat Mr. Strength Lee. That is also a nickname he gives him. That's also a nickname he gives himself, Mr. Strength.
That is a thing that I had.
It's a ghost.
And everybody else now has to see it too.
Here's Pat Lee not practicing what he preaches. To anyone who wants to break into comics, learn to love drawing backgrounds and study technical work. Never have an ego and treat your fans with respect.
It's like everything he didn't do.
Oh, I see the names. Mr. Mega, Trans Man,
Paticus.
Artist.
He called himself fucking Paticus.
Superstar artist, though.
Mr.
Talented. Over my dead body.
This is Simon Furman, if Pat Lee would ever do work for IDW. So the year that Dreamwave went defunct, IDW acquired the license. And it's interesting because as far as how much talent transferred over from Dreamwave to IDW, there's a lot of crossover. Don Figueroa, who will actually be talking about this episode as the line artist for War Within, he did a lot of stuff for IDW. And the weird part is IDW almost screwed him as much as Pat Lee did. And they actually note as a citation, Pat Lee owes this guy $15,000 and some change.
Oh my gosh, this poor man! I would go over there and I'd beat his ass.
So we're going down a little bit of a rabbit hole because it does show like
Pat Lee had all these artists FedEx her art all the way to him in Canada, which was really expensive, and he said that he would reimburse them in their paychecks, which never came. So not only did they not get paid for the artwork they did, they had to pay out of their own pockets and ship this man the art that he published and never paid them for.
That's so awful. Holy shit.
So I want to go down this rabbit hole because Don Figueroa experienced the pain of both Dreamwave and IDW because Don Figueroa created the Stealth Bomber Megatron design, which, as the TF Wiki cites, first appeared in the Transformers number 13, I believe, as part of the Mike Costa relaunch. This design is fucking awesome, by the way, and I believe the reason they don't use it is because...
it's tied to the other guy?
Well, no, because they made the toy. They didn't compensate him, even though it's his design. I believe they did make a toy about it. I have no idea. I do know they made an.
So I hope Alex Milne got compensated for the Tarn figure that came out a year ago.
I have to ask him. I'm not sure if he did. It might be because like some weird ownership clause that Hasbro ultimately owns the rights to those characters because they're published under the Transformers brand.
Mm-hmm.
But the Ken Penders lawsuit for Archie when he lost the license might set a different precedent because he got the license like Lara Sue, Scourge the Hedgehog, a bunch of other OCs that I can't name because I'm not a fucking Sonic fan. I just know the brass tacks of the Ken Penders case because that man is a fucking nutcase and I love him for it. But these guys actually started out as an Image studio because this was back in '96. This was after the initial wave of studios, like the Magnificent Seven initially left Image to the Magnificent Seven left the Big Two to form their own company with independent studios between all of them, and a bunch of other studios have formed themselves underneath their umbrella. Yeah, Jess Puck, friend of the show in the chat, says because Hasbro keeps its paperwork in order and it's work for hire. But I do think, Jess, that Don Figueroa did have a clause in his license because Andy Schmidt, the editors of publishing at IDW, did promise him compensation for it because it was designed for the comic. But Figueroa's beef is that they didn't compensate him even though they made a toy and didn't give him credit for the design either.
I sent you a link in the private chat. You should open that link on the podcast and read this webcomic about
is this Willis?
Yes, it is Willis.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, this is from David Willis, aka Shortpacked. I haven't actually read a Shortpacked comic in a very long time. So to go over this real quick, I think I mentioned earlier that Dreamwave got the Transformers license back in 2001. And like I said, Pat Lee drew like shit, and a bunch of other artists did his job but better, including one of my favorite artists of all time, Alex Milne, who would later go on to work at IDW with Don Figueroa and Guido Guidi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. Please let me know if I am. But basically, Pat Lee did nothing. They mentioned this in the wiki. Although the second Generation 1 volume was originally supposed to be written by Saracini, again, he was replaced by James McDonough, who worked under Brad Mick. And then they relaunched, I think... Basically, Dreamwave's publication history is long, fraught, and confusing as fuck.
And criminal.
Yes. We'll talk about that, actually, right now, because we're at that point in the wiki's article. Dreamwave's overall debt was $1 million plus. Imagine if we racked up that debt, we would be in like Guantanamo Bay right now. But when you're rich, the rules don't apply to you. Pat Lee, again, as we mentioned before, repeated the performance with Dream Engine, which also went defunct. But then IDW got the license the same year that Dreamwave closed in 2005. Waiter Mike Costa blamed Dreamwave for damaging the franchise in the US comics market, and that honestly hasn't recovered since then. Up until the Skybound relaunch, Transformers under IDW was like a top 50 at best.
When that comic came out, it was #1 for a few months, and it just kept going down, and they blew that. I mean, read that Nick Roche quote there under the Aftermath. Read that quote.
Yeah, looking back, I'm glad I didn't do any work for Dreamwave. At the time, I would have worked for free, but it turns out everyone at Dreamwave was doing that anyway. But to close out on our history segment of this channel, we are going to talk about Dreamwave's legacy. Besides the damage of the brand among comic shops, there was a lot of small bits of Transformers lore that would stick around, as well as personnel. As I mentioned earlier, Don Figueroa, Guido Guidi, and Alex Milne got their start there, and James Rice, who is another interior artist, got his start in Transformers there. They mentioned, I think Dreamwave created the spec sheet, right?
Yeah.
Dreamwave created the spec sheet, which is a very important part of Transformers lore. The idea of Sunstorm and the Fallen.
The Fallen, yeah.
Who ultimately would go on to be a major part of the second Transformers movie, Transformers: Revenge of the Pointless.
And helped establish that version of Optimus Prime's fetish ripping people's faces off.
Have you seen Transformers 2, Ashley?
Yes.
It's terrible.
I'm glad you remember.
I got
I remember. Pepperidge Farm remembers.
I hated the first movie. I swore I wouldn't watch any of the sequels. And then I got tricked into going to see the second one. What happened was my brother went and saw it with a friend, and he told me, "Oh, it's better. You should go see it." My friend Jennifer, now my co-host on Voices from the Eyrie, had to see it with her kids. She has 4 kids, so she had to sit through that thing 3 times. At one point she said, "Oh, Greg, it's better than the first one. You should go see it." They didn't coordinate this at all. They didn't plan it. So apparently,
is this like Stockholm Syndrome?
No. They both decided they had to suffer through it, so I had to suffer through it.
What? Okay, but
You
I'm just saying,
through
like,
it multiple times or just one?
I just did it once. Jen had to suffer through it multiple times because she has 4 kids, and she had to see it once with each different kids, and that movie was terrible. And
no, I would have just taken all of them at once.
Apparently, that wasn't an option at the point.
Well, they also expanded upon Dreamwave. Also, did expand upon Unicron, and I was talking about this with Greg. The idea of the Great Shutdown, which would be the idea of Cybertron shutting down due to lack of power, was introduced in The War Within, in issue 4, I believe, when Shockwave was reintroduced. And they also introduced the scientist component of Shockwave, because in G1...
It wasn't War Within, it was War and Peace, the second miniseries. And...
Oh, why did I think it was War Within?
Because they both have war in the title.
War is hard. And like I said, in classic G1, Shockwave didn't really have much. He was just like the guy who stayed on Cybertron while the Decepticons fucked around on Earth.
In the cartoon, in the comic, he was not
substantial leader character.
Yeah.
He was one of the guys jockeying for power once Megatron was removed.
He overthrew Megatron at one point.
I think it was like after Ratbat took control.
No, it's before Ratbat. It was at the end of issue 4 in an 80-issue miniseries. He just blasts everyone and takes power.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then you have that infamous cover in issue 5. The Transformers are all dead.
And I'm sure this last one is very important to Hasbro. That Dreamwave was the first universe to use the white Optimus Prime cab of Ultra Magnus. So therefore, it didn't have to make a new mold for a toy. They could just repaint old Optimus stock they had lying around in the warehouse.
I feel like they do that quite a bit with different...
They do. This is probably just the most explicit one.
The Jets.
The Seekers, yeah. The
Starstream, Thundercracker, Skywarp, Sunstorm.
Did the Coneheads count? Did the Coneheads count as Seekers, or are they their own separate?
Yeah. No, they count. You just flip the head up.
Okay. I just wasn't sure that if the Coneheads counted as like a subgroup of the Seekers, or if they were like their own separate mold reuse.
All right, I'm gonna go grab a drink. So give me 1 second. I'll be back. I promise.
Yeah, you're enjoying the story of the criminality.
She's getting her
Don't you
tea.
dare! While I am gone, I need you guys talk about other things that aren't getting deeper into that right now. Talk
Okay,
about,
we
I
will.
don't know. It'll take me like 2 seconds to grab this drink. I promise. And I don't want to miss any of the tea. So
All right.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, so basically Shockwave takes over at the end of issue 4 and he rules for a while, and Megatron teams up with Ratchet and then gets beaten by Ratchet.
Oh, that's where the melted together
that's
Megatron
much-
Ratchet comes from, right?
That was much later. That was in he was getting beaten by Ratchet all the time in the Marvel comics. I don't know why.
It's weird because like in later adaptations, like the size difference of like Megatron like is like a giant bulking figure, and then Ratchet tends to be like a cranky old dude with like knives for hands. And like, you know, looking at like animated in Prime where like Ratchet
Yeah.
is substantially weaker than Megatron, it's weird to have them like way back in the day where they're on perpetually equal footing. It's kind of surreal to see like them being like on equal ground.
I'll say this comic book Megatron in the 80s was kind of a wimp compared to cartoon Megatron, whereas everyone remembers cartoon Megatron for the movie blowing everyone away on the ship.
Yeah. Well, that's him in gun mode, isn't it? Where
Yeah.
Starscream. I do think it's funny the movie begins with a mass shooting.
I'm not
energy drink.
No, I'm not going to share that graphic. I made a graphic a while back that is sort of about that.
I made guys. I made an Illustrator vector of the Autobots getting shot up in their spaceship.
Hasbro made toys of the Autobots getting shot up on their spaceship.
Jesus Christ!
I'm not kidding. You wanna see? Go look at Ironhide. You can see that on Ironhide's webpage. But don't do that now. Anyway, read the webcomic. Read the webcomic that I sent you.
Oh shit! I forgot we have this to do. So this is Pat Lee, I guess, in his
I will put that down
style.
while you read because I don't want to spit it out because I feel like this is probably going to be silly. So
Pat Lee, I mean superstar. The final bankruptcy paperwork is completed, sir. Thank God I can move on with my life. When did companies start charging for licenses, man? Hasbro needs to leave me alone about Transformers. I did Ghost in the Shell and Lodos War comics for years and never paid a dime. That's because you called them Dark Minds and Warlands, sir. See what I'm talking about now? It's all just, Pat, why won't you return my calls? And Pat, I'm quitting because you haven't paid me in 2 years and all that crap. What happened to all the loyalty? Why won't everybody ever think about me? I'm still waiting for my 40 grand, Pat. Me too. Guys, I've moved on. Why can't you? Hands out the Porsche, man. I'm drawing X-Men now. With the very appropriate stand your ground imagery of a 12 gauge.
I would have liked the pose on his like wannabe rap album. That like MySpace photo where his like hands are like on his knees and like that he should be posing like that.
We're going to go back to that. Yeah.
And apparently there was a point several years later where he got into an editing war on Wikipedia where it was pretty much him and David Willis correcting edits on Pat Lee's Wikipedia entry because he was removing all the criminality, and David Willis would keep adding it back in. And
so
I think it's hilarious. I think it's hilarious that like we've spent more time talking about the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Trans Man than we have like we're going to spend talking about the comic, because
let's be honest, this is more interesting.
Fantastic.
Yeah, this is more interesting for one thing, but also I'm gonna get more into it once we actually cover the issue. That this book is very firmly in the Bendis era of writing for the trade.
Yeah. Do we have anything?
I just realized I still have the intro video sitting in the background. I'm going to delete that.
Do we still have anything left we want to say about the criminal?
No,
not really. Maybe Batman will get him one day.
Let's be honest. He's more likely to receive a presidential pardon at this point.
Got him. Anyways, let's talk about Transformers: The War Within. So this was, I believe, the third publication from Dreamwave at this, or wait, the fourth, because the first three were Prime Directive, which was the first volume, War and Peace, and then the ongoing, if my timeline is correct.
I believe this came out before War and Peace, but after Prime Directive. It came out in between.
So going off the wiki, it says that it's from 2002. So this would be like about a year after they got the license.
This comic is old enough to drink.
Jesus Christ.
This makes me feel old because I was an adult when this thing came out. Oh my god.
So this issue has a cover date of October 2002 and it was published on October 9th, 2002. This is interesting because most comics have a cover date that is 3 months after their initial year of publication or their initial month of publication. So to see it in the same month of publication and cover date is very interesting to me because have a hard on for logistics and bureaucracy. So this book is written.
I'm sure there was some fraud scam associated with that.
Very likely. So this book is written by longtime Marvel veteran Simon Furman, and pencils by a man we've been talking about very frequently in this episode, Don Figueroa, with inks by Elaine. What?
Simon Furman was for many years considered to be the greatest Transformers writer of all time. I don't think he's considered that anymore, but his hit place.
He's still pretty foundational.
Yeah, he is. He is.
And with inks by Figueroa and support by Elaine Toe and colors by Rob Ruffalo and letters by Dreamer Design, who I don't know if he did any work after. I think he did work for Dreamwave and Devil's Due when they had the license for a little bit.
Well, Devil's Due probably paid him at least.
Oh boy, my first paycheck.
Been in the industry for like 20 years.
So we begin with, I just want to point this out. We don't have any physical floppies of it on us. So I had to do the hard work and dig through the Internet Archive, just because this book is very much out of print. I don't think it's been reprinted since its initial publication, since the initial trade wave was released. So we're going off of Internet Archive for this. Preserve your media, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So the book begins with a splash page of a hand in a floating muscle city, and a caption reads, "Sentinel Prime is dead."
Well, you also saw Transformers 1 this past summer, right?
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was not based on this.
You're right, it was good.
I can't wait until you get to my favorite part of this entire book that I read.
So after a lot of 2-page spreads, I'm realizing that there's a lot of spreads. A little while later in Iacon, Blue Streak is what?
Something interesting. He was not called Orion Pax in this. They were calling him Optronix or something.
Yeah, I think this was an attempt to make themselves. This is one of those very rare times since the movie where they were trying to differentiate themselves from G1, or at least the original G1.
Yeah.
By giving pre-Optimus Optimus a different name, because traditionally he is named Orion Pax, but I think this is one of the few continuities where he actually isn't named named Orion Pax before he gets the Matrix.
Sometimes he's a dock worker, sometimes he's a miner, sometimes he's a cop. This time he's an archivist.
This is a dumb question. You can remind me of it, Greg, because it's been a while since I've read that particular part of IDW. Optimus did go by Orion during pre-war IDW, right? Before he got the Matrix?
Yes.
Okay.
But then he went back to being called Orion Pax after he...
Yeah, he went back to being Orion after Death of... We'll actually talk about this next episode when we cover IDW. But traditionally his name is Optimus Prime, so this is one of the very few times in Transformers history, because Transformers is kind of tied to G1 at this point, where he goes by a different name that isn't Orion Pax. But in Iacon, Blue Streak is talking about how Sentinel Prime died to Optronix, who's just like, dude, leave me alone. I want to do my work. Please leave me the fuck alone.
They say Megatron himself ripped the spark core from his shattered torso. No, he didn't. He ripped him in half. Go watch Transformers 1.
He gave him some back shots and then tore him in half. So elsewhere, Blue Streak is talking about how he's not a merchant anymore. He's a soldier. Everyone needs to do their part, and kind of laments that it must be nice in there because Optron. I'm so used to saying Orion or Optimus. It's so weird to say Optronix because I haven't like reflexively learned how to say it yet.
Just say the red guy.
Or just pause and then have Greg insert it anytime you go to say it.
This will be one of the few videos I edit where I just like take text to speech and just put Optronix and then put it over whenever I say Orion.
I love that.
So Blue Streak is like, hey, Jesus Christ. Hey, Optronix. You're being a little bitch hiding inside your library. And then it cuts to, I guess, it's the past, right? Like I have no idea.
It's like millions and millions of years ago.
Well, I'm talking about like from the scene in the library to the action scene in the next page.
No, it's not the past. It's happening at the same time elsewhere.
Okay. Just the way it transitions, like we never even saw it coming. That kind of like feels like a flashback line. But anyways, on the orbital Torus state of Alta Hex, a bunch of Autobots led by Grimlock, who has like tank treads on his. This is before they thought of dinosaurs, I guess. Grimlock and his team are pinned down, and
Grimlock has teeth.
That's weird. I don't like that. That's really funky.
Before we proceed any further, we need to talk about this. This was the era where Grimlock was known as Simon Furman's pet. He would
his OC Do Not Steal.
He would put him in everything. He even brought him into the Beast Wars comic he had written for IDW for no reason, just as he found out there was a toy of a character called Grimlock. So he said, okay, here's Grimlock. He's been on record. Grimlock is his favorite. Anytime he could use him, he did use him.
Honestly, kind of based when you think about it.
Yeah.
So anyways,
it was considered Wolverine publicity levels of obnoxiousness at a certain point.
So Grimlock's basically like, hey, Cup, who looks nothing like the character from the 1986 movie, are we almost ready to leave? And Cup reports in that a bunch of non-allied Transformers are sitting on the fence and refusing to leave as Thundercracker and Skywarp are coming in for a bombing run.
Wait, and the neutrals are being killed. I assume that Thundercracker and Skywarp are being led by Zap Brannigan here. I was hoping you would get that joke.
So Bumblebee is at the transport, and this is before he became like the most obnoxiously over-inserted character in the Transformers ever.
Yeah.
He's asking for
air support. Somebody said it. I'm so sorry, but I feel the same way.
Oh, wait,
Cliff Jumper gang, we're so back.
I was like, dang, how long till Bumblebee is in this is literally where my brain is.
Wait till we get to Skybound issue 1.
Oh God.
You'll enjoy it.
You'll enjoy it.
So
excited.
Grimlock basically says, like, you're on your own, eat shit. I don't have the resources. And the Seekers blow up the building. War crimes. We love them here. Trailbreaker / Trail Cutter. Do they ever call him Trail Cutter in this book? I forgot.
I don't even remember.
Yeah, so Trailbreaker drags Bumblebee onto the ship, and Grimlock and Cup are about to make the same retreat. And I guess Grimlock devolves into his monkey brain because he
thinks they need a strong leader.
Yeah, they need strong leader. Big man need turn tide. This is like a combination of the caveman from the Croods and the 1,000 typewriter monkeys from The Simpsons. It was the best of times. It was the blurst of times. You stupid monkey.
I'm obsessed with this creator right now on TikTok.
Oh my God, you're going.
I'm going on a tangent, but it is a caveman skit that he does of podcasts. Like it's like cavemen doing podcasts back and forth, like talking on one. It is the funniest shit, and that's just what you reminded me of. I was watching all those videos earlier today and like showing my parents.
Nice. Send me that link.
I will. It's so great.
So anyways, Grimlock devolves into his Blurst of Time's brain, and he and the Autobots make a hasty retreat. In the Chamber of the Ancients in Iacon, Orion, or
The red guy.
the big red,
The
goes to the chamber.
optometrist or
The stupid truck.
Optometrix.
Just say the truck. Just say the truck.
Bullibicus.
you sound like you're about to do a Harry Potter spell.
About to
so
set
bad.
about to
This is
cast
gonna
a
be
spell on
Voldemort.
J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, this is gonna be a Voldemort.
Hopefully Avada Kedavra.
Jesus Christ.
Damn.
Yes.
Greg only looks innocent. I swear to God.
He's got the dome. He can shine it. He can use his dome to like burn J.K. Rowling from a distance. Anyways, in the
Fine.
chamber, Optimus is speaking to the Council of the Ancients, and like, that's what they're called, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah.
this hood looking motherfucker is like, hey buddy, your time is now. You're the next Prime. You're gonna get the Matrix. And Optimus is saying like, well, this makes sense traditionally, but in the situation we're in, tradition kind of needs to be tossed aside for the sake of pragmatism. And does this guy have a name? Gravitas. No. Yeah, Gravitas is his name.
Gravitas
is insisting that because all shapes fit into this giant orb thing. You're the Prime now. And so it cuts to Prowl. That's Prowl, right?
I don't want to be the Prime.
So after Optimus has his time whining, the council insists that the Matrix is for him, and it's a good idea. So we cut to Jazz and Prowl, who are hanging out in an Adobe Photoshop background of fire and brown.
The Pat Lee method.
Yes. And they wait out in the Helix Gardens and see Grimlock says that if the new Prime is unsuitable, basically they'll overthrow him and strength will prevail and Grimlock will be the new leader. He grips he does like the equivalent of grabbing Starscream's crown and crushing it with his foot with his hand. Basically says, I'm gonna do it by show of force. Fuck you, Prime.
Wait,
back
is Grimlock planning to pull a January 6th on Optimus Prime?
Jesus Christ.
I'm full of them tonight.
Greg, your brain's broken.
Damn. Innocent is all that NyQuil you took, I think.
So in the Oracle tank, it's just in Joe Rogan's sensory deprivation tank, Optimus is having visions of all the Decepticons, and is that Ravage?
Yes.
Okay. So Optimus is going like, damn, this shit good. If the Decepticons want it so badly, we might as well just give it to them. In the Chamber of Ancients, Optimus is given the Matrix by the Council. And basically the signs are there, and he gets the Matrix, and in this actually pretty decent splash page, he becomes Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
So
now you know what name to call him.
Yeah, now that I have like the actual name that I am familiar with, now I can call him what he's supposed to be. And now watch as I call him Optronix the entire time, just because I keep forgetting and my brain's been hardwired again. So in the ceremony, Jazz basically like, hey man, he's bigger now, Grimlock, what are you gonna do about it? And Grimlock's like, size not matter. And then a bunch of Decepticons come out because the plot demands it.
Oh, I was wrong. It's the Decepticons are about to January 6th the place.
Peaceful transfer of power, boys. So the Decepticons go, meets back on the menu tonight, boys, and Grimlock comes to Optimus's defense. Skids has his right arm sliced off by Genericon 1. I don't know if these guys have names, but the wiki says he's called Umbra. So Skids gets his arm cut off, and then Backbite. We're at that point in Transformers history where just like anything can be called a Transformer. We have like Blip and Dent. Man,
Dark
great
Light.
names. There's Dark Light and
Transforms into a gun. Hey, that's Megatron's shtick.
he stole Megatron's. Yeah, Megatron sitting in his like evil Dr. Evil lair at the United States Capitol, and he's thinking to himself, "Someone stole my bit."
You have to do the finger when yeah.
Optimus Prime, someone stole my bit. Die, Autobots! Anyways, Darklight gets slammed to the ground by Optimus, and Cup and Hound take out Genericon 2. And Grimlock's like, wait a second, I want to see what this motherfucker can do. Let's watch him for a second. I want to see what's going on. So
He's
Optimus, yep, it's basically like a trial by fire. This is like that issue of X-Men where Angel flies through the fire hoop, and X-Men, I don't know, Iceman does some stuff. I don't know.
Iceman makes himself a snowman. This is Uncanny X-Men issue 1.
No, this is just X-Men issue 1 by Stan and Jack.
Yeah, right. It wasn't Uncanny yet.
Yeah, that was Uncanny when that wasn't when Claremont. That was like
much later.
Okay. I don't know why I forget. Everyone forgets about that weird period where Len Wein was on the book for a while, so that was fun. So, anyways, Optimus dispatches the 2 Decepticons with ease, and Grimlock's just standing looking kind of impressed. And everyone's going around like, wow. They're glazing Optimus for a couple minutes. And after the glazing's over, Optimus is like, guys, you got to chill out. The war is getting too pricey. Time to get packed up and let's leave Cybertron. The Decepticons can have this piece of shit. We're getting out of here. To be continued. Well, no, there's a post-credit scene. So instead of Nick Fury, I guess inside the hole, we get Megatron saying, "Now, Optimus Prime, come to me."
Megatron is in Cybertron's asshole right now. Should I take cold medicine and NyQuil before I come onto a podcast?
Oh yeah,
yes.
I need you to have this energy.
Time.
I need you to have this energy for Spec. I know you love Greg, but you need to come with this energy tomorrow.
I know. Look at his sweet, innocent face, and then he opens that mouth, and it's nothing but fire. Like, it's incredible. It is the best shit, I swear.
So, we're not going to do grades because, like I said, this is less of a like review and more of a retrospective. This issue is very strange to me in that Greg and I kind of talked about this before you got on, Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
But this is written like right as Brian Michael Bendis was becoming like the biggest hot shit of all time with Ultimate Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
For better or worse.
Yeah, for better or worse. What was I saying? That's thank you, ADHD.
I have it too, and it's been the entire time you guys have been saying stuff. He started talking about a snowman, and do you want to build a snowman popped in my brain, and that has been playing as you both have been talking. So my ADHD is all over the place tonight.
Okay, good. I'm glad it's not just me. So this issue is interesting because, like I said, this was back when Bendis was becoming like the hot shit back at Marvel, and when the writing for the trade craze was becoming like a fever pitch. Because in this issue, it's interesting because a lot happens, but also nothing happens. What's that, Greg?
Yeah, go read any Simon Furman comic from the 80s or even 90s, and they're much wordier than this. I breezed through this. I read this for the first time in over 20 years, and I was thinking, I remember this being much longer.
This was very fluffy as far as content goes. Like, we get the brass tacks. We get like, here's the Autobots, here's the Decepticons, here's the power struggle within the Autobots. Here's Optimus getting the Matrix, but other than that, it's very little happens.
I actually read on a little bit from what you sent me, so yeah, because I like wanted more. I mean, a lot happened, but I still kind of wanted more, so I just kept kind of reading.
I do think it's interesting, like how I guess fluff is like the best way to put it because it's because for the page count, because this is a standard 22 pages of content. Mm-hmm. If we take a standard comic book, it's 20 pages of interior content plus a covers page or plus a credits page and a cover and like a teaser for the next issue. This one has 26 pages because it includes like about 4 pages of back matter along with the cover and credits page. But for 22 pages, it doesn't feel like a lot happens. We do
didn't even feel like it in the second issue either. Like continuing.
Basically, Orion, Optronix, whatever the fuck his name is, becomes Optimus Prime. Grimlock is ready to stage a coup, and Megatron starts taunting. That's it. That's the entire issue.
Well, he's not even really involved in the plot. He's just a teaser. In the same way, in a weird way, it's kind of like a setup for. It's very similar to the first Transformers movie, where Megatron isn't very present in the movie until the last act. I guess something similar would be kind of like Skybound, where Megatron is more of an omnipresent, like we don't know where he is, what happened to him. Oh, here's his arm. We can just put on Optimus for a cool ass splash page for a bit, which admittedly fucking slaps. So I'm okay with it. But it's weird, like seeing how Megatron, the main villain of the book, doesn't even show up until like until the MCU end credits page.
Wait till you see how Skybound handles Megatron. How long it takes for him to show up.
He takes 18 issues. This is a weird book as far as art. Like I said, it combined with the pacing of the book, where it's very Bendis-esque in that not a lot happens. There's a lot of negative space in these. Well, not negative space, but like very light in terms of word count. Especially like there's only like each panel of these books is like, aside from the action pages, which have about 6 to 8 panels per page, most of the talking panels are about 3, or most of the pages are about 3 panels in length. Especially like the pages that establish location. The page where Prowl and Jazz are together is only like about 4 panels long. Most of the scenes on Alta Hex are about 5 panels each on average. But again, it's mostly establishing shots, which is interesting because Cybertron as a location feels very diverse in terms of its locations, as well as like showing the effects of the war. But again, it feels a little weird because all these interesting locations are undermined by the fact that not a lot is happening. So it just feels like we're bouncing from place to place, and these establishing shots aren't doing a whole lot. And they take up a big chunk of these pages. The page in the council chamber where Optimus is talking to the Council of the Ancients, it's very weird because like a big thing is happening, but it's like all this negative space is being wasted on like
if you weren't wasting
a guy.
What this should have been, and I'm sure Furman would have liked to have done this, he should have refused the Matrix at first instead of just being wishy-washy about it and then taking it, especially since he didn't particularly want it. I mean, he could have done that story in one issue.
Yeah. What do you think of the designs? I'm mostly. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, have the Decepticon attack be what prompts him to actually take the Matrix.
Actually, I kind of want to broach you on the subject. What do you think of the designs? Because I know that I don't want to say you're an outsider, but you know, a lot of people are mostly familiar with like the classic G1 designs. You know, Bumblebee is a Volkswagen, Optimus is like a Freightliner, or he's a Freightliner in G1, right?
Yeah. Wait.
But he's a cab over engine. He's a cab over engine.
You know, there's
pickup.
I'm tempted to make a Mallrats joke since he said Bumblebee is a Volkswagen, but you can fill that in yourself. If you get it, you get it.
But you know, Optimus is a cab over engine pickup 18-wheeler. Megatron is a gun. Starscream is a F-20. He's an F-22, right?
Yeah, I think it was an F-14. Yeah, it was an F-14 back in the 80s. Not like, an F-14.
I guess I'm curious for Ashley because, you know, as someone who isn't as like in-depth familiar with the like very niche iterations of the Transformers, what her opinion is on these designs compared to like the more culturally relevant G1 designs that have lasted for 40 years.
I don't know. Some of these designs are like, I can differentiate obviously like between certain things, but it is also kind of difficult for me because of the way that some of them are like drawn. So like as it has progressed, because I looked at like I said, I didn't just like read that first one because I wanted to like, like keep going. So yeah, it was a little bit difficult too for me with some of these designs to like know other than based on some of like colors and things of that nature.
I got a really dumb question, which is, were you able to tell the difference between Prowl and Blue Streak? Because they are admittedly very aesthetically similar characters. The guy who Optronix is talking to in the first scene, and then the guy who's with Jazz in the Helix Gardens.
Neither of them are blue.
One is blue, one is white.
Well, neither of them are
Let me
blue.
just double.
Oh, that's Smokescreen. That's Smokescreen. I forgot. Smokescreen's the blue one.
Blue Streak is not blue.
You're supposed to be the expert, Bogenrieder. What the hell?
Okay, Zach. There are community fights over whether Frenzy is red and Rumble is blue. So
Who became Cyclonus? Skywarp it, Skywarp.
But
shame him.
I know that these characters, even within the community, are hard to differentiate between. So I'm interested to see like, how intuitive or how intuitive designs were for you.
So yeah, no, like I said, I think that might have actually been the characters I was having issues with, but most of these I was kind of having problems with, and I had to actually keep double checking just to make sure which characters were which, because it's a lot different, I think, than all the stuff that I was used to. And some of these, like, it's a little bit mashed together, if that makes sense, with some of them. Like when there's a bunch of them in one like scene, I really
were they all
have
just like
a hard
crowded, all
time.
crowded together.
Yeah, and like seeing like, like just kind of body specifics and stuff like that, I really did have a little bit of a problem with that. At least, like I said, moving forward into some of the other books from this when I was looking and reading them. So yeah, it is a little bit difficult to tell who some of them are without having to like reference. So
yeah, like unless you have like a deep knowledge of like who these characters are.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go like back to this. Like this is not something I've ever read before, but I do know a lot, in regards to Transformers, and that's just because my kids and like I liked it when I was growing up. So, but these are whole different.
Yeah, I wasn't sure like what your level of knowledge was, so I didn't want to like talk down or assume you didn't know anything. But,
you're fine.
But I do know that like a lot of people are more familiar with like the brand or with the characters that have like stuck around and like lasted a long time. So I figured that was a safe kind of place for me to meet you in the middle as far as like your knowledge base and like see what could be in what your intuition could figure out for you.
Yeah. I mean, this is old. Like Greg said, this is from this book is able to start drinking. Like
this is like right after 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
Is it really?
It's from 2002.
Oh shit!
Like a year after. So.
I mean, and it's weird that you said that, and that I actually made a frowny face because when you said old enough to start drinking, I graduated high school shortly, like after 2002. So I graduated in 2004. So I was like, dang, it has been that long. Like. Realizations.
Existential
next year is my
crises.
20th high school reunion.
Huh?
Wow.
Yeah, next year's my 20th.
I love how that's what Zach opens
next year
on.
is my which means next year is the 20th anniversary. Oh, it's because I'm going upstairs. Hang on.
I graduated 2000.
It's for DJing with that.
I graduated in 2017.
Get fucked, Neil. Fuck.
On the subject of the designs, I actually think a lot of them are over designed. I get what they're going for, but it looks like they're focusing too much on making them be badass as opposed to just being badass. And like I said, I haven't looked at at these designs and
I lived, bitch.
You know who's not going to?
Dream and I took it back, and then I gave you back the access.
No.
Okay, so we're
First of all, before we get too further into this, admonish me, please. I deserve it because it's my fault. I clicked the wrong button. Okay.
This actually bothers people more if you do this instead of the middle finger when you're driving now. I've realized how.
Oh, I did that once
get
too.
like
I did this once to that one Karen who was trying to get in front of me when I had right of way to turn left in an intersection, and she looks fucking mad. I thought that was really funny. So
my daughter taught me that thumbs down, or you have to like wave your finger
a little
like
bit. Yeah. Okay, so I don't know where we left off, but I think it was something about the actions of the Transformers being like badass, or like them trying too hard to prove they're badass. So I don't think we got.
Yeah.
I think by the time the stream ended, I think we had talked about the designs. So I guess to go over it, Ashley, not to make you go over your whole point again, but you did mention that they were kind of like you were having trouble trying to figure out where one Transformer ended and the other began.
Yeah,
if that makes sense, where like they're all kind of clustered together into one panel, and they're not very intuitive
for some reason.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we made it through all that before Zach broke the whole stream and decided to disconnect the internet or whatever because T-Mobile, I guess. I don't know.
Zach did a war crime.
Yeah, for real.
Well, we were talking about like high school reunions, I think.
Yeah,
have no
probably that too. And I wanted to know what was being said by Venkman because he said something and he said, "Dang, Ashley."
Yeah, so Venkman responded in the chat immediately.
I would like to know what that meant. Probably that I'm old, so don't. If that's what it is, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about that.
So this book is very, very weird. Like I said, there's a lot of negative space without a lot happening. I actually haven't. I'm actually the one who did the least homework for this episode. I actually didn't read past the first issue.
Oh, so you didn't read the second one because the next one is like kind of my favorite, and I didn't know how much we were discussing today.
Yeah,
so that's kind of why I read ahead.
We're trying to keep it to like the first issue. We're gonna break that rule kind of with next week's episode with IDW because they're all kind of connected together. But I'm interested to see, like you said that the next one was your favorite.
There's a scene that is one of my favorites, and it's actually because it's very dirty. So, or at least that's where my brain goes. So
I thought it was interesting.
It's dirtier than Megatron being in Primus's asshole.
Whoa. That escalated very quickly.
So
Greg gets me.
Ashley says that you had said F you, Neil, when he mentioned he graduated high school, and that's where the stream cut off. So.
Yeah. I broke it, I guess. You're welcome.
Oh.
But I think it's interesting.
My hate for how young Neil is graduating in 2017 broke the stream.
Would you like me to break the laws of time and space and go back in time and
Zach's all red
and
I'm pale as hell.
Yes.
I'm always red, dude.
And I'm usually not this pale, but like I said,
you have the phrenology of a California raisin.
Fuck you, Neil.
Oh god.
So, what did you guys think of Megatron hiding in Cybertron's butthole?
I think in issue 2, it's not drawn that way anymore, so it was just kind of weird.
Yeah, it's weird that Cybertron has like all these veins of like it looks like muscle
Well, when
as
you think
compared
about
to
it,
like you know.
it's a giant robot transformed into a planet. It's Primus, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh wait, actually, did you not know that Cybertron is like a giant transformer compressed into a ball?
No.
Well, now you know that Cybertron is a massive
The
transformer
more
that
you
turned
know.
into a ball.
Maybe I wasn't joking. Maybe Megatron really was in its asshole.
Just reading the text of it, though. I was like, damn, Decepticon daddy.
Hang on, I'm gonna do my best Frank Welker voice. I am Cybertron's preparation. I am Preparation M. The M stands for Megatron.
To me, I might snort.
Do it. Snort, woman. That makes
If I
it even
snort, it's
funnier.
gonna be disgusting. So
Well, yeah, you don't snort, sir. Sir.
Is this the this is a really dumb question. Is this the continuity? No, wait. Soundwave had a yellow visor. Did Soundwave have a yellow visor in the Marvel comic?
yes, it was also purple in the Marvel comic.
Okay, because I remember it being like red in the G1 cartoon, but this one is like explicitly like very glowing, like yellow visor. So it's weird to see like Soundwave's visor glows so intensely yellow. I'm not putting that up on
The original
screen.
toy had yellow visor.
Okay.
Yes, Frank Man, he was. He was doing exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
You need those if you're over 50.
Is it over 50 now? I thought it was over 40.
I think
Or
it's
down.
I'm not going to talk about my dad.
Is it that?
Sure, Neil. Let's talk about your dad's colonoscopy. How does
No.
that make you feel?
Said
Not
no.
doing
that. No. Wait,
One, because I don't know anything about it, and two, because I don't want to know anything about it, and three, because I don't want you to know anything about it.
I really don't want to know.
Thank you. Okay.
I'm probably the first person here who has to get one, so I'm not looking forward to that.
Jesus Christ.
Oh no.
It's the cold medicine. I'm on NyQuil. I've been saying weird shit all night.
Can we show the picture of the within?
The what?
What we've been talking about? Are we going to
Megatron
save that for
Megatron in the hole?
Yeah, is it going to be saved for later? That within.
Yeah, one second, let me
Within.
So I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I know that. Wait, hang on.
And that stance too. It says "Come to me."
Yeah.
I should be medicated.
This just proves
I'm
that
medicated.
our sense of humor is that of like a 10-year-old boy.
Look at this.
He is
That is an anus. Okay, I'm sorry. That is a sphincter.
Megatron,
Come
Megatron
to me,
links to you.
Daddy.
Oh God.
too bad this isn't audio.
Come to me, Prime.
But like
No
that
one,
stance
hey,
and
listen. No
everything-
one clip what she
Look at-
just did and use it later. No one.
Look at those bolt-ons.
Titties.
This is like
He's like,
That
you can,
stance
see,
is
you can
difficult.
see those cyber honkers like bouncing when he says, "Come to me, Prime."
Well, and then like the way that the orb on the left, or yeah, that's his left, and
What is that? I don't even know what that is. What is
This is
that?
not. This is not how he's normally drawn. This is not what he normally looks
It's
like.
just like a square.
He's not bad. He was just
He's
drawn
flat.
that
He's
way.
flat. He's flat chested.
I,
It's not an augmentation.
I'm done.
Did you guys not hear the bolt-on joke?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I forgot. You did make.
Or should I call them well-dons?
I mean, they would probably be welded on.
What's that thing? Hang on.
See what I mean about these versions being overly designed?
That thing right there.
What is that?
Oh,
Is that
that's a diagnostic drone. That was from Beast Machines. They brought them in here. I remember that thing. That's a diagnostic drone.
Jesus Christ!
I thought it was.
I didn't even realize
I
that.
thought that was like a flea or something.
It looks like a K up there in the corner for me. I thought maybe it was like a little hidden thing, but no.
Oh, okay.
My focus was on the
Man, that
A-list,
graph-
I guess.
That graphic design is off. Look at that. That yellow font on the yellow black gradient on the yellow border. Jesus Christ.
It looks like someone
like-
just got. It looks like someone got a hold of Photoshop for the first time and they were just playing with it.
I mean, considering this is Dreamwave, it's probably the first time any of them got a hold of Photoshop.
Yeah.
Or no, this would be Adobe Illustrator.
Yeah, it'd
For
be
vectors.
I mean, this is tied to that wiki page, right, that we looked at. So maybe it has something to do with that. And all those album covers and MySpace profile pictures and shit we saw earlier.
I mean,
Now this is really weird. This graphic design here, because it is, I think, just a recycle of this page zoomed in with the yellow with the coloring on it, with just like brown lines and yellow color on it. I have no idea what the
it
hell
looks
that is.
suspicious.
What are
like,
we looking at in the left corner? What is that?
I have no
Who is
idea.
that?
Is that supposed to be like a hand or something? Like, is that?
It
Oh
is
wait!
a-
Oh wait! That's Darklight transforming into gun mode.
Okay. Because like
Or no,
it is
wait,
a
hang on, is it-
transformer. I just
is
don't
it-
know who the fuck that is.
Is it Umbra was the one that transforms into the gun, right? He tells Darklight to take him,
Yeah.
which also sounds very sexual now that I'm looking at Zach staring at me.
Well, this is a franchise where the original Megatron toy had a very unfortunately placed trigger.
was that almost as bad as the transforming Punisher from
Yeah,
Toy Biz?
kind of.
No, this is the one that this is the toy that encouraged legal legislation for all toy guns that have the orange cap on the end.
Oh,
Yeah,
because the Megatron, the original 1984 Megatron toy was, I believe, a P-38 handgun.
while we're on
That-
here, pull up TF Wiki again. I want to show you a really unfortunate Transformers design.
What am I looking for?
Just pull up TF Wiki. Pull it up there.
just do it. Just do it now.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
All right. Search, type in Galvatron, but you're not going to go to the normal Galvatron anyway. Just type in Galvatron.
Okay.
Galvatron. Go to Beast Force 2 Galvatron. That one.
Why is he
Scroll
so
down.
pink?
Scroll down to his toy.
Hang on, I want to look at. I'm derailing real quick so we can look at this. What the fuck's with his kneecaps?
What's up
He's got
with
Gatling guns on his machine gun.
his bulge?
No, you haven't seen the best part yet. Go to the toy. Go to the toy.
Gets better.
It gets much better.
Oh my God. Is this it?
There it is. Blow it up. Blow it up.
I'm not. No, I already see
Blow
it.
it up. Blow it up.
See, I knew
No.
I wasn't the only one. They were like, this definitely has to get made.
Jesus,
Look
Hey.
at that.
Yeah.
that's a penis.
I'm
The
pretty
Larry
sure
David, Curb Your Enthusiasm. That's a penis.
I'm pretty sure I did not bring that with me.
Does it also have a hair comb? Because what is that for?
Oh, these things right here.
No. The one next to the first
The
picture.
insert, yeah.
Is that a hair comb?
This is the first Transformers Barbie crossover.
I can see it actually. Like
Talk
the
about-
color
talk about
scheme.
What's he
This
supposed to
one's
turn
for the
into a?
girls. This
Was
is
he
for
turning
the
into a dragon?
girls.
He turns
That
into a dragon
looks
and
like
a
an
quote-unquote
ostrich.
drilled tank. But yeah.
Scissor.
Can I,
An
I'm not sure.
ostrich to
Zach,
me.
Zach, can I make a joke that might get us demonetized, but I probably won't?
Wait, this isn't going on YouTube, right? Or
No, it is. We're live.
Oh fuck.
Zach, as you can tell, this is a very weird franchise.
Ugh.
Talk about a bad dragon.
Oh, no.
You have my permission.
I already said it.
What a bad dragon.
Mm-hmm.
The less you know, the better.
Yep.
All
I know
right,
exactly what you're
now-
talking about. Keep that
now
away. That's terrifying, Neil. Never speak of that ever again.
Oh God.
That had,
no.
that had
Wait, did
nothing
you
to
Google
do with-
search it? You dumbass.
No.
That had-
Oh,
He's
That
gonna
had
be getting
nothing-
wrecked. He's gonna be
Oh wait, did he
getting
catch on? Oh wait, he
recommendation.
caught on.
I caught on. Never mind. ones when we have a Jesus.
That totally had nothing to do with this comic, but we were talking about sphincters, so I figured I had to go there.
That's
I
great.
didn't realize we were live on YouTube, so shut up,
Why'd you think we were here?
I thought it was like a thing for later.
This is like that scene in Scrubs where the guy turns around and goes, "Where do you think we are?"
I'm unprofessional.
But you killed the stream, so.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I did.
I'm unprofessional. I'm hopped up in cold medicine.
My bad, Jess Punk.
I mean, I'm not just physically blonde, so I wasn't realizing this was live. So
It's better than it was live.
Don't worry, I'll take these off private. I'll private both of these and edit them into like an actual coherent video because it's 2 parts technically now. So
everybody else that has been here though,
yeah,
I'll make it so I'll make it till all are one. Look at that Transformers reference I so subtly put in there.
good job, Neil.
Yeah.
Round of applause for Neil.
What do you think of the Decepticons doing? I think this is like the first time the Decepticons do like actual war crimes against like civilians. Because I know in the movie they in the movie I know they gunned down like 5 Autobots in like 20 seconds.
Yeah.
But like I think this is the first time they do like collateral against civilians like explicitly.
Well, Megatron's enslaved people in the comics. I mean, the
are we talking about like what's that one fucking thing from the Constructicon episode what they used to turn the Constructicons evil?
No. There's an episode where the Autobots use the mind control things to turn the Constructicons good. So basically, Optimus is violating their rights to freedom.
And freedom is the right of every sentient being.
Except for Devastator.
Transformers! Oh, wait.
That sounded like G.I. Joe.
I know, that was the joke.
I wasn't going to say it. Thank you again, Neil, for reading my mind.
And knowing it's half the battle.
On the computer! Stop all the downloading! Anyways, we're not giving this a grade because this is not a review episode. This is more of a retrospective. Aren't you glad you came along for this ride?
I'm
Ashley
so
and
sorry,
Zach?
people.
Trust. What did you say to me?
I shouldn't have come on because I'm not feeling well, but I just had to shit all over Pat Lee.
Pat Lee's the artist that did this, right?
No, this is Don Figueroa.
Please get them going again, please.
No. Pat Lee was the founder and owner of Dreamwave, and he's an international criminal who didn't pay for the licenses after he agreed to do it. So Hasbro never got any money for this, and he didn't pay the writers and the artists he hired or anything. And he just he bought a Porsche with the company's money, transferred it to his parents' name before he liquidated the company and declared bankruptcy. Lots and lots of people were owed hundreds of thousands of dollars or even millions. And then he did this again a second time with a second company before.
And he somehow got away with that too.
Yeah.
And he still did work for Hasbro up until like 2008.
Yeah, and now he lives in Hong Kong because apparently they don't have an extradition treaty with the United States.
By the way, Zach, we actually went on stream and had the Google search tab for does China have an extradition treaty with the United States?
So
this is the one time we can say we organically inserted geopolitics into our stream.
I fucking missed it. Okay, all right. Sorry, I was all earning money, everybody. My bad.
We brought the tea and the facts, and it was so glorious.
Venkman, to be fair, I'm actually very rarely ever filtered. Just that usually I'm talking about things I enjoy. Now I'm talking about the guy I hate, so I'm a little bit different.
Speaking of the opposite of things,
what everybody apparently saw tonight is what Greg is in real life when he talks about people he hates. So.
To be fair, we were talking about that before the stream started. So
to be fair, in this case, the guy I talked about is an actual douchebag who actually did hurt people.
This is fair.
And I did talk about we did kind of talk about like how funny it is that like so much of the talent from Dreamwave ended up going to IDW when they got the license for the Hasbro properties. So
I think we should if we're going to close this up, which we don't need to yet, but I think we should read those quotes about Pat Lee on his TF Wiki entry.
I'm not pulling it up on just put on screen again, but I will gladly read some of the quotes about the man. Let me see.
Put the link in the private chat so I can read it.
Hang on.
Yeah, Zach can read it. Let Zach read the memorable quotes by and about Pat Lee.
Okay, 1 second. I'm pulling up the page. Okay. We're going to hell for this stream.
Oh, 100%.
Yes.
I'm riding down with you. It's fine.
It's mostly my fault.
Okay, so memorable quotes by and about Pat Lee. It must be it is a mistake to suppose that men succeed through success. They most oftener succeed through failures. From Pat Lee himself. If he ever wants out of comics, Pat Lee's got a heck of a career as an auto mechanic. Which is even funnier because he doesn't know how to proportion out shapes for vehicles. Oh, Venkman answered the question. The Robo Smasher is what turned to Constructicons evil. Thank you, Venkman. I actually forgot. It's the weird tentacle monster thing, right?
Right. Yeah, I remember that now.
Okay. From local news report on the Dreamwave and the Brothers Lee during their heyday.
I was talking and didn't realize that I was muted. Sorry.
Classic Zach. Hasbro.
Don't end the stream, though.
Keep my hands off all buttons.
Hasbro sold Dreamwave the comic license a few years back, and now these two brothers are raking over $1 million a year. Money's being spent on fast cars and fancy toys. But maybe making comics isn't all fun and games. Both brothers have shown a business acumen well beyond their 20-something years.
Yeah,
I remember working with Pat Lee and how kind of disappointed I was to find how little of the art was actually him. He gave me an original art page of Armada, and there's so little art on it.
I just want to point out that this is from Simon Furman, who did this, who wrote The War Within.
Yeah. This next one is also Simon Furman.
Let's see. A lot of these are from Simon Furman. Man, this guy must fucking hate Pat Lee. If Pat had been some faceless bureaucrat, it maybe wouldn't now seem such an acute betrayal. But he looked me square in the eye and said everything's hunky dory. That's what still even now burns.
Probably what Don Figueroa says, probably the richest guy I know.
Which is really funny because before you came on, we looked at Don Figueroa's his page on the wiki.
Mm-hmm.
Not only did IDW not compensate him for the Megatron bomber design from IDW, but this guy owes Don Figueroa $15,000 from his time on Dreamwave.
And
Guido
he's the
guy,
one that did that figure, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
He's the one that
did Megatron stealth bomber. Yeah,
I'm sorry. The fact that one of the quotes says, "Can we get our money?"
I told you that whole page was just incredible and the best thing that I've ever seen, like ever. It was just a whole like shit talking page like of stuff. Just
the next one's even better. Some of the shapes and lines are a little misshapen. When you draw your lines, sketch them out in layout mode and try to get as accurate as possible before making any final lines. Pat Lee not practicing what he
I do appreciate how Guido Guidi in two separate quotes makes opposite points, but also they're connected in the way he didn't understand at the time, I don't think. A guy that really knows how to pitch himself, and cars are expensive. Let's see.
To anyone who wants to break into comics, learn to love drawing backgrounds and study technical work, and never have an ego, and treat your fans with respect.
And I guess to close out tonight, from Simon Furman in 2010, please don't believe anything that comes out of this man's mouth. I did, and look where it got me.
Damn.
Zach, I think it's safe to say we've talked about a lot of creators in the comic industry over the many years on Spidey Dude and even back in Crawl Space. Have any of them been criminals like this?
No. This is intrinsically unique. There have been people that have been creatively bankrupt that we've talked about over the years, but I don't think any of them committed grand larceny to the
and
level
fled the country
and then fled the country and went to
Fled the
Zach,
hemisphere.
did we show you the explosion image?
No. Show me the
So
explosion.
to close it out, so to close out for the night, this is an image that would belong on someone's Dragon Ball Z AMV, but was used as a promotional picture for Dreamwave, the studio. Behold.
That looks like the album cover for like a boy band.
Linkin Park.
I literally said that, like late 90s, early 2000s, like band like cover art. It's like the shitty digital, like they try to piece it together, and then they were like, "Here, girl, like I'm in a band," and they're still in their fucking parents' garage.
This is truly the Shadow the Hedgehogification of the comics industry.
They're handing out their CD at Walmart, being like, "Hey, check out my new album, man!" Like
this is the
We're playing at the
new
bowling alley later.
this is truly the new selling dietary supplements at the Walmart checkout lane of comics.
Looks like somebody there definitely works for H&R Block now.
Yeah.
And one might be a realtor. I'm not sure.
Okay, can I offer a pitch for how we close out tonight?
Yes, please.
Please.
Instead of listening to patrons, we do our own rendition of "What I've Done" by Linkin Park.
Oh no.
What I've done. I can't do that tonight.
What I've done.
Okay, keep going.
Face myself. I can't remember the lyrics off the top of my head.
Something, what I've done. Here's some patrons. We're doing books of X real soon.
All right. We are literally going to try to record tomorrow night, so join us as we're going to talk about the issue 14 of A Spectacular Spider-Man.
Hang on, I'm pulling up the thumbnail. One sec.
Also, if Linkin Park is in fact listening, I think they need to hire Neil because I don't like the new lead singer, and that's all I have to say. I'm out. Mike,
I don't know how this turned into my audition tape, but sure, fuck it, why not?
That's Ashley's mic drop, and I love you guys.
Look at that shit. That's why Neil gets paid the big bucks. Look at that.
Yes.
thumbnail.
Oh, I love that.
Nice.
Except, well, I didn't draw it, but I did.
Lizard.
No, I know you edited though. It looks really good.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's a good
round of applause
thumbnail.
for Neil because he absolutely rocked it out once again. He did a lot of the recent. We recently updated all the thumbnails and everything like that, and I shared them on Twitter because I had to make sure that he got highlighted for all his hard work. We do appreciate everything you do, Neil. And, Greg, take some NyQuil, get some rest. No, you're not going to make me my VTuber model.
I don't even know how to do that. Do you have to use like Blender or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna do exactly that, but I cannot help but wonder what became of that Porsche. Who has that Porsche now?
What color was that Porsche?
Do you think? Hang on. Do you think
do we think it's like the OJ Bronco that's now being passed around?
For
Yeah.
comics, yes, the OJ.
No,
Bronco
here's what
comic.
I think. You remember that story on the news about the kid who turned like an old iPhone into 2000 2000 Porsche Buckster?
Yeah.
Wonder if that's the same Porsche.
That Porsche should be brought into Transformers canon as a Decepticon,
No, that was Jazz.
and it needs to be named Paticus.
The Paticus.
Look, it's me, Don Cheadle, and my friend Jazz, the Black Transformer.
All right, if you want to follow us for more shenanigans, you can find us over on our Discord. Link is down in the description below, or will be if it's not. We at Spidey Dude Radio on Twitter, at Spidey Dude Network on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, as well as Blue Sky. You can also find us over if you are, well, you're already watching us, but if you have not already by this point, if you have not subscribed because of all the great comedy we have given you tonight,
subscribe to the channel. And if you want to leave us a voicemail is 818-925-6631. Please, somebody for the love of God, leave me a voicemail other than Walter. Love you, Walter.
He did leave one, I think.
Oh God, did he leave one?
He did before. We're not doing it tonight. We'll do it tomorrow.
All right, we'll do it. We're gonna play it tomorrow night. We're gonna do it at the end of the episode tomorrow night. So join us tomorrow night as we talk Spectacular Spider-Man. Hopefully, Greg, get some rest. Oh God.
Okay.
Feel better.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
feel better, buddy. And we'll see you next time here on the Spidey Dude Radio Network. Neil, you can hit